The Cincinnati Bengals just fired their defensive coordinator, Lou Anarumo, who...
You got Joe Burrow on the other side. They're going to be people, here's the defense coordinator resume. Are you kidding me? Like, every dang defensive coach in America is going to go for that thing.
They are literally the only team in NFL history to have the league's leading passer, the league's leading receiver, and the league's leading sacker. That no other team ever had that. They had all three of that, and they didn't. No, for the season.
Yeah.
And they didn't make the playoffs.
Cincinnati fans, you have heard it. It is bittersweet news. The Cincinnati Bengals have fired Lou Anarumo. As I said, bittersweet. Why? Because bitter as they are doing the dismantling of his partnership, his employment with the Bengals, they're showing all of these 2020 to 2021 photos of him in our Super Bowl white jackets. And so I tend to forget that there was a time where we did feel as if 100% this guy needs to be the long-term solution, the long-term plan. I remember after that Super Bowl, he was getting offers to go get head coaching positions. And I was very keen and very prudent on just being like, no, like, we need him. Don't leave. Don't go. We need Lou Anarumo. And then just throughout the past 2 seasons, it's been very clear cut. This season, definitely more than last, that there's no way in God's green earth you can have the Triple Crown and arguably the MVP, best quarterback in the National Football League, and then having also a sack leader in Trey Hendrickson. That's an individual feature to go get the quarterback. Your defensive coordinator really doesn't have any pull or say in you going to get the quarterback. And so with all that being said, for us to end the season 9-8, and a lot of it due to multiple games where we're having 41-point showdowns with the Baltimore Ravens, to where, hey, if we just had any resemblance of defense, this is a way, way more obtainable type of win. Us going to the wire in week 2 against the Kansas City Chiefs, having all types of blunders defensively. It's been happening pretty much ever since that Super Bowl run. Ever since after that Super Bowl run, we've been just having boneheaded defensive coordinator problems. And now things kind of bring us full circle to who is to come. Who's the next guy up? And the next guy up, I have all types of personality traits that I'm looking for. There are experiences that I'm kind of looking for, and there are inexperiences that I'm kind of looking for as the next defensive coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals. But before I get into what I want, let's get into what's in the ether, what's out there in the universe. You're already seeing it already. You're already seeing it by now. I'm just here to give you guys a little bit of an update on where the market stands right now for the next defensive coordinator. Number one, we're seeing a lot of connections with Al Golden, who's 55 years old. So he's an experienced gentleman. He's been throughout the NFL and throughout college football, but mostly he was the linebacker coach for Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt as rookies when we are headed to that first Super Bowl, right? So as we're headed to our Super Bowl, Al Gooden is our linebackers coach. He then does such a great job, gets a good defensive coordinator linebacker job with Notre Dame. And then this upcoming season, he's able to mold that Notre Dame defense into something spectacular. They are in the college football playoffs still, playing at a great pace, great aggression. So with him, we get experience. With him, we get continuity with the team. He understands where we are, where we were, what we're looking for to get back to the Super Bowl. Rapport with all of us, right? So the last time we even saw him was at a Super Bowl celebration that did not go our way. And another great thing about him is that when he got the job to go to Notre Dame, you see Sam Hubbard, Mike Hilton, Von Bell. You see so many of our defensive leaders talking about how great of a dude he was, how he was able to simplify things, how he was able to teach a 10-year vet and Von Bell new things at that point in time. And so to have him back in the building where he knows and understands how things operate, how things go. And another thing, guys, is that every single aspiring defensive coordinator is going to want our job. He's going to want to be a Cincinnati Bengal. Why? Because all he has to do is say, hey, we just got to get the ball back to number 9 and number 1. And we'll see what happens with number 5. But as of now, this is a very, very hot defensive coordinator spot because all you need is to have an average of 21 points. That's it. Can your defense hold them under 21 points? They can? Cool. Awesome. We have a quarterback that can get you 40, and now we're going to be winning at a crazy clip. That's number 1. That's who you're going to be seeing a lot of Al Golden. Once again, he has connections to our past successes, and he's been having his own successes. Number 2, and a little bit what I'm looking for, possibly a little bit of my push towards as our next defensive coordinator, it's going to be Robert Saleh. And so, yes, you're also seeing this gentleman getting tossed into the weeds of choice as our next defensive coordinator. And why do I like him? I like him because the last time his name was really respected, his name held a lot of weight, it was as a defensive coordinator, and a great one. A really, really phenomenal one. One that had a defense that was feared, well respected, a defense that was making multiple NFC championship returns, as well as Super Bowl returns. And in those big time games in which they probably lost, the defense was not the issue, right? And so to get someone like that in the building would be awesome. But even more so, a defensive coordinator like Saleh, I think will be a perfect yin and yang for Zach Taylor. I liked Lou Anarumo as a defensive mind, but I think as a defensive coach, I need someone with energy, with excitement, someone that resembles defense, whether it be physically domineering or just with the sense of presence. And I don't think Lou Anarumo had that. I think Robert Saleh has that energy, has that sense of resilience as a defender, and he's kind of just a jarring figure within itself. And with Zach Taylor kind of being a reserved kind of guy, and then able to have Robert Saleh being a very high energy guy, I think that could be the perfect yin and yang balance between the team. And I just also want to give a lot of respect to Robert Saleh, to where even when things weren't going great in New York, there were a lot of times that the defense was still intact. Now, it wasn't perfect. That wasn't all the time. But more times than not, even when things were disarray, even when things weren't going great, that defense was still locking other offenses up, still doing great things. And so I love that for us if we're able to get a Robert Saleh type of figure. And now thirdly, and probably would be the most likely scenario, just because Cincinnati Bengals, we rarely ever get big names in the building, especially as a staffer. But the next is going to be a gentleman that I'm seeing across the weeds. It's a young cat. His name is Christian Parker. He's 32 years old. He's the secondary coach for the Philadelphia Eagles. He necessarily doesn't have a crazy track record. Like I said, he's only 32 years old. Very, very young, but he is the secondary coach of the Philadelphia Eagles that is doing phenomenal things at this point in time. Him being the young leader for both young rookie talents in Cooper DeJean as well as Quinyon Mitchell. Now, Christian Parker, I'm not going to have a lot of things to say about him, but I'm going to put him in a other bucket full of hats. We have Al Golden, who's the older, experienced guy. That's a type of character, that's a personality defensive coordinator that we can have. We have a Robert Saleh, who's a been there, done that, proven kind of guy who's had some recent failures that can be used to overcome and do better things. And then our last option is a Christian Parker prototype, which is what? A young-minded, defensive, promising type of talent. Pretty much exactly where we found Zach Taylor, who was a quarterbacks coach, I believe, for the Los Angeles Rams at that point in time. So what's different from us getting a secondary coach for a successful team in the Philadelphia Eagles? And the thing about Christian Parker is he does have the Vic Fangio tree underneath his belt. And so what Vic Fangio is able to do in Philadelphia, Christian Parker is able to really mimic, learn, and really absorb how he would want his defense to show. And so those are the options for us right now, guys. We have an MVP at the quarterback position who's not getting the trophy this year because the defense sucked that bad. We got to get the defense right. We have to. We already know Mike Brown's going to be cheap as hell. So I hope that just the attraction of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, hopefully T. Higgins as well, hopefully defensive coordinators loving the idea of having Trey Hendrickson on their side is also going to bring in a lot of talent. But we need to change it up. We need something new. We need something fresh. We need something that is fearful. People fear the Baltimore Ravens. People fear the San Francisco 49ers. They don't fear us. They don't fear our defense. We need to get that. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe.